Hi everybody, I'm Blanca and this is my family. This is Annabella and this is my husband Jared.
Hello.
Okay. Annabella's leaving. She'll be back, I'm sure. She is our 1.5-year-old and I know we just got a bunch of new subscribers and thank you so much for subscribing. We did want to come on here and talk about our twin pregnancy because it was completely shocking to us finding out at 12 weeks, especially when we had 3 ultrasounds before and it was never caught until then. We just want to talk about the type of pregnancy we have and how high risk it is. We have, I probably can't say it, I will try my best. It's called Monoamniotic-Monochorionic.
Monochorionic and monoamniotic.
So Monoamniotic-Monochorionic. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. For short, they call them MoMo Twins or Mono Twins. And what that means is that the babies are in one sac, sharing one placenta. Normal twins come in 2 different sacs, one placenta. They are identical, so other identical twins would have 1 placenta, 2 sacs, but ours are in 1, which makes it extremely high risk because of umbilical cord entanglement. So, you know, it was a lot to take in this week. We were super excited to have found out that we were expecting not 1 but 2 babies. That's 2 blessings sent our way. But then when they explained everything that it comes with, it's just really nerve-wracking and it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. It already has started, but I feel like we're going to get through it. I have a really good feeling, and then just I don't know, you know, however you guys feel, but I believe in God and I trust God and I have a lot of faith that we're going to get through this and we're going to be another success story. She's back. Yeah. So I have a lot of faith that we're going to get through this. So a little bit of facts behind it. This happens 1 in 50,000. There's been different articles that I've read. Some say 1 in 30. The most recent one that I saw, it's 1 in 50,000. And it's kind of crazy because most of the MoMo twins, 75% is that they're going to be female. Ours are boys. So we're in that 25% having boys. And that's kind of cool.
So we're rare of the rare.
We're rare. And then another thing that's going on, I mean, we're not just having MoMo twins, but there's another problem that one of the high-risk doctor that we saw on Monday detected that baby B is missing a heart chamber. And at first I didn't even know like what that means. Like, I don't know. It was so much to just drop on us that one day that I was just, I don't know. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was just kind of like, what is he saying?
Yeah. What does it mean?
Yeah.
What is that going to mean for us down the line?
Yeah, exactly.
What do we need to expect?
So since it's something, since we were really early on, you know, this is on Monday that we found out we were 13 weeks. I'm 14 weeks, 2 days now, but I asked if it's something that could be fixed on its own throughout the pregnancy, and he said no. So he said it couldn't be fixed, that the heart's already formed. So what does that mean? I don't know anything about hearts, so I didn't even know, like, what does that even mean, you know?
Right. What's the issue here?
So the heart has 4 chambers, and it seems like from what they saw on the ultrasound that the baby has 3 to 3.5. So what that means is that when the baby's born, the baby will have to go under surgery, open heart surgery, as soon as he's born.
As soon as he's born. So they want to get me to try to get me to at least, it would be amazing if I could go to 34 weeks, but the norm, if you get there, because it's really dangerous, it's like 31, 32 weeks is when they take the babies out. So it's not just a one and done surgery. He said it's a 3-stage surgery that will happen again when the baby's a toddler and then as a teenager. And then because your heart's growing, they have to keep doing that surgery to fix it because the heart's growing, right? Yeah. So basically they'll be splitting
one of the healthy chambers.
Yes.
That brings the blood to the lungs. They'll split that, and it's going to share that blood flow, because the other chamber brings the blood to the rest of the body. And when they split that one, they'll get blood flow to all the vital organs and the body parts. But ultimately, it'll obviously affect his physical output, because he's not getting quite the blood flow.
Right,
as a normal heart would be pumping through, and then we'll be able to do normal physical,
like normal things. But the baby, this baby will never be able to be like an athlete. Like, you can't do anything extreme. Yeah, like nothing where your heart's gonna be working hard.
And as the baby grows, obviously, they're gonna have to reevaluate and look at the heart again, and because the heart's getting bigger and the blood flow changes and pumps more through the body, I guess. And to me now, it's just like Jared said, first we got to get to 24 weeks. Because at 24 weeks, I'm actually going inpatient to a hospital, and I'm going to stay there for the remaining of the pregnancy. And that's just because they want to monitor me 24/7. Due to them being bigger, cord entanglement is higher at that point. That's the earliest that if they have to perform an emergency C-section that they can do it.
Yeah,
so there's no point in going in before then.
Because they would be viable then.
So between now and 24 weeks, it's just kind of,
God forbid that, something happens from here to 10 weeks from now. Because it's just like now I'm just thinking like I have 10 weeks. And I just pray to God that everything is okay with them and that we can make it there. It's just all really scary to think about. The way I just find myself feeling okay and peace is just knowing that it's out of my hands and I can't do anything about it. I just have to pray that we'll be okay and stay positive, because I don't want them feeling me sad. Like, I want to cry right now, but I've cried so much this week. And then another thing that happened on Tuesday, one of the nurses called and they wanted me to come in for a blood test. I think it's called the Harmony test, I'm not sure. But they said due to one of the babies having a heart problem that it could mean that they have Down syndrome. So, of course, that's really scary. Doesn't matter, we're going to love our babies. They're our babies. But it's just even harder then if they were to, or one of them. She said one of them could, or maybe both of them could, or maybe they don't. There is this group on Facebook called MoMo Twins support, and it's really helpful to talk to other people going through the same thing you are. Actually, about 2 people have told me on there that they've had that test and it's come back positive with Down syndrome, but in the end it was not. They said those tests are not meant for twins.
Well, and they're not 100% accurate.
And they're not 100% accurate.
With any test, I suppose.
So I'm never going to do that needle that goes in your belly, because that's super dangerous, in my opinion. It's just really scary to think about just them, their life, how it's going to be, how hard it's going to be for us and for them. And so we don't know the results yet. And that was actually, that's making me anxious, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I can't do anything again, so I'm back to that. So maybe I shouldn't have even done that test, because it doesn't even matter, right? But at least we could be prepared if it were.
Well, and I think the doctors wanted to know that information for themselves.
They're just trying to roll out.
They need to make sure that maybe that'll help them better understand why the heart didn't form. All 4 chambers healthy, or we don't know what information they'll get from that could be useful to them.
Yeah. And then another thing, interesting how a few days can matter, from what I've read, and I've watched so many YouTube videos learning about this, because before this I had no idea. I just knew twins existed. That's really cool. I always thought, wow, people get 2 babies, that's awesome. But I didn't know that there were so many different types of twins. So the way our twins form is with a normal twin pregnancy, the egg splits within 4 days of life, right?
That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, within 4 days of life. Well, from what I was watching this video of a doctor explaining it. Yeah, so it splits within 4 days of life, and then what happens with ours, it's split at the 8th day of life. So our babies are in one sac, There's no membrane between them. So maybe we should back up a little bit and explain. There's some twins that are one sac, but they have a membrane in between them. Ours do not. So that's been confirmed. That's why we saw a high-risk doctor. And yeah.
That's where the risk of entanglement comes, because if there's a membrane between them, their umbilical cords cannot get tangled amongst each other, because it's really about the cords tangling and knotting within the other cords, which creates
cord compression.
And cuts off the blood flow to one or both of the babies. And we, that's our biggest goal right now. That's why we got to get to 24 weeks.
Yeah. And then it's kind of scary because I don't have any appointment until like 2 weeks. We saw the doctor on Monday, but my next appointment is not till May 3rd. And that's just like, why isn't it every week right now? Like, that's how I feel. Like, why aren't they not?
Because everything looks good. I mean, when we go to the doctor, they're growing. Yeah, but also, like he said, it doesn't appear like the blood flow is great. As of right now, there's no entanglement. So I'm sure if we went and they saw signs of the entanglement, that we probably would be going more frequently.
Yeah.
But because right now everything's great, it's what you could hope for at this point, that there's no point in bringing us back weekly. We'll just go back when we do, and we'll just hope that everything's staying right on track, right on.
There is so many success stories on that Facebook support group that it just gives me hope, a lot of faith that we will be those people one day. I'm gonna be in the hospital for at least 10 weeks or maybe less, depending on when they want to deliver the babies. But then my babies will stay in the NICU, and then one of my babies will stay even longer because of the open heart surgery. But I mean, right now we just want to get to 24 weeks with them safe and healthy, and we'll take it one day at a time. I mean, that's all I can.
Step one is to get there, get you in the hospital, get you monitored, and then get those babies to grow as much as possible. And then
they are measuring. That's one thing I do want to say. They are measuring a week ahead of schedule. Every time we've gone, they're a week ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm 14 weeks right now, so they're probably measuring 15 weeks. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I mean, they're growing great. There's no sign of it, any blood flow or any sort of
from this last
compression.
appointment.
No blood flow issues. So it's just getting them to 24 weeks.
Yeah.
Because that's, between now and then, there's nothing we can do. At 24 weeks, if something were to occur, we know that there's at least a possibility of performing an emergency C-section and getting them out, and they can be put in the NICU. Obviously, baby B's the one with the heart, missing the heart valve. The smaller baby B is, the more complicated the surgery gets, so it could require us to go out of town, or at least baby B would have to go out of town. Baby A would obviously have to stay in the NICU. Once we get to the point where both babies, if we get to a point where both babies are, obviously have an emergency C-section, and the complication with baby B is if it's not grown.
If it's a really small baby.
Yeah, it complicates the surgery, and it might not be able to be done here in Vegas, and it has to go out of state, which creates a complication for us, because one baby would have to stay here, one baby would be out of state, which would be difficult because
it's already kind of difficult as it is because we have a 1.5-year-old.
Right.
I mean, thankfully Jared is a teacher, and he's gonna be out of school at that time. It's gonna be summertime. He can be watching our 1.5-year-old. And we have great family that his family's going to be coming and taking turns and helping us out. I don't know about my family yet. I know I can count on my mom for 2 days a week, but that's about it. We don't have anybody else, but I mean, we'll get through it somehow. We'll make it work. But it is harder when you have a little one to take care of, and now I won't be able to see as much. I mean, unless you bring her to me. But
as much as we can. As much as she can come. So step one, we got to get to the 24 weeks. And then it's all about taking it day to day, getting us as much to term as we can. I think 32 weeks is what our OB said would be ideal, but he thinks 31 weeks is most likely what we want to get to. If we can get to that time, then everything's good, because we know we can have both babies here, we can have the heart surgery here. There's no having to send them out of state. But again, there's, if we don't make it that far, there's that complication with baby B having the surgery done out of state, which obviously makes things difficult and creates more of a risk, because the surgery just becomes more complicated because it's so much smaller. But if we get into the hospital 24 weeks, I mean, we've made a huge milestone. So for us, it's just focus on that. Between now and then, there's nothing we can do, nothing we can control. I mean, there's really nothing we can do or control anyway. I mean, as far as the doctor says, you know, what we've done up to this point is fine. What Blanca's done as far as, you know, taking care of herself, you know, you really can't do anything different.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do to prevent this. Being put on bed rest now isn't necessarily going to help. So it's really out of our hands. All of it is out of our hands. Even when we get to 24 weeks, it's just now you have that security of knowing if something does happen, that there's obviously a chance to perform the emergency C-section and get the babies out before anything.
And then 24 weeks, did we say 24 weeks is the earliest they could do that, because that is the earliest they could survive outside of my womb?
In the NICU, yeah. So that's our target. And then once we get there, it's just making it as far as we can and hoping that we can get both babies as big as possible before we have to have, obviously, the C-section regardless. Then we can start focusing on the surgery and what that means, and that's when we'll start to meet with the natal cardiologist, and once we're admitted in the hospital, and we'll start to get more information as to what to expect. At this point, we don't know what the length of recovery is going to be, how long the baby will have to be in the hospital. We knew that they were going to need to be in there until basically October anyway, because that's when
my due date. My due date is October 18th.
So ideally they would have to be there until they come to term regardless. But with the heart surgery, we don't know what that's going to mean, and we still haven't really had a chance to focus on that right now. Yeah. We have it's basically one step at a time. Cross that bridge when we get there. When we're in a situation where we can have that to worry about, that's actually something to be thankful for, that we actually got there and got to that point where now we're concerning about just making sure that the surgery goes good and there's no complications. But it's a common surgery. It's something that happens with not just twins, but just normal,
Yeah, they said it does happen. It's singleton
babies when they're born by themselves. They have the same complication with all kinds
the
of
doctor
pregnancies.
said that it's a surgery that they do every single day in the U.S.
So the big complication for us or what makes ours different, is the length of the length of the babies getting closest to term, because most babies are born and then they have the surgery after they get to the 9 months. Ours will obviously be a preemie and be a lot smaller than most of the babies who have this surgery, which is why it's not done all over. Like why where we live can't necessarily do it, because you need specialists.
I'm actually really excited to share my story, and I really pray that we have a successful story on here, because that would mean the world to me. That's all I want. Hopefully when I go inpatient, I will be able to just film from the hospital, and
that's about all you'll be able to do.
I mean, I won't have anything else to do, so I'll be able to do that and just update as I go, and have good news. I hope we'll go from there.
Yeah, because it's amazing, as rare as this is, and I think we read somewhere also that there's about 300 of these a year in the United States. As rare as it is, there's a lot of people out there going through similar experiences, whether it's MoMo or other issues that they have to deal with. There's a lot of people who want to hear your story, because we found out that there's a pretty large MoMo community out there, right?
Well, yeah, according to that Facebook group, I feel like there's quite a bit of girls that are going through this, and I'm not alone. It's just kind of crazy that we are that 1 in 50,000.
Yeah.
I just find that crazy.
And according to the doctor, there's no genetic reason for it. It just happens. It's one of those just rare things.
I guess that's pretty much our update for today. I really wanted to just come on here and let you guys know what we're going through, because this is going to be a really long pregnancy, I think. A really emotional roller coaster pregnancy.
It's going to be a lot of ups, a lot of downs, good news, hopefully always good news, but we know that there's...
We already know, the risks, so hopefully it's just good news from here on.
And just like any other pregnancy, we're 14 weeks in. So at 14 weeks, there's still a lot of things that you need to have tests done, a lot of just with any other pregnancy, just to make sure that everything's going great.
Yeah.
So on top of the normal nerves that come with any pregnancy, you have this deadline that you're just trying to push to.
That's what it feels like. Like you just have a deadline that you want to meet.
You got a time that you got to get to, and it's a long wait. 10 weeks is a long time.
it is.
So try not to think about it. Put it.
Yeah, that's all I can do is just I'm trying to pretend that this is a normal pregnancy. I am happy. I'm trying to stay really positive for my babies because they feel it, and just, you know, go from there. Trusting God and hoping and praying that we are okay and that we three can come out okay, and then we will be a family of 5 one day. We already are a family of 5,
which is already also nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but just, you know what I mean. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thank you again so much for all the new subscribers that have joined our channel here, and we really appreciate it. It's really exciting to see that a lot of people liked our gender reveal video. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching. We will continue to update. We will have a name reveal video coming up pretty soon. We already have the names. We always think of names like as soon as or before trying to get pregnant, right?
You had names picked out before you even met me, so.
I always wanted to be a mom, so I just always knew. So yeah, but we have the names picked out for both babies, and I think they're just perfect. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in our next one. Bye.
Bye.